morning. Is this working all right? It feels a little quiet. Good morning. Thank you all for being here. My name is Nikki McKay. I'm the CEO of Utah Foster Care. And I want to thank Entrada for showing up and continuing to show up for foster families in Utah, and also for opening their space to us this morning so we can share a little bit about the urgent need for more foster families and who the vulnerable children are in our state that need this support. May is National Foster Care Month, and I'd like to share a little bit about what foster care is and who the children are. We'll be hearing from local business and faith leaders, from a current foster parent and a former foster youth, and we will be wrapping up the press conference with a message from the First Lady and Governor Cox. When a child enters foster care, it's because their parent has no one else in their life to support them during a very vulnerable and challenging time in their life. They have no family and they have no friends that can step into the space and help them care for their child temporarily while they need that support. And this is the devastating reality of foster care. Today in Utah, there are 1,756 children impacted by foster care. The majority of these children have siblings. 1 in 4 are Latino, 1 in 3 identify as LGBTQ, and 1 in 3 are teenagers. There are children in foster care hoping to return home to their family, and there are children in foster care waiting for their forever families. Today in Utah, we have 822 licensed foster families. This is the fewest that we've had in over 25 years. When there aren't enough families to care for the children in need, the children end up staying in dormitory-style living. Nationally, we have seen children have to stay in their caseworkers' offices and in hotels, and we do not want to see that here in Utah. Outcomes are better for children when they have options to best fit their individual needs, and we know that children do better when they're with families. The kids in Utah need you, and we need you. Thank you for being here today.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Adam Edmonds. I'm the CEO of Entrada. It's been our pleasure to be a partner of Utah Foster Cares the last few years. Personally, I grew up here in South Jordan. I did not grow up in foster care. I have never fostered a child, but I fell in love with this cause a few years ago. We started hosting events here, and as I started to meet the kids, meet the foster parents, meet the biological parents trying to get their kids back, it's really an area that just touched our heart here at Entrada. So we've tried a number of different things to just try and help, honestly. We just go where Nikki and where the First Lady tell us to go, and we give resources where they're needed. This should be a solvable problem. You just heard there's a couple thousand kids. These kids are the most vulnerable part of our population, and there's just so much that they need growing up as teenagers. And one thing that's become pretty clear to me is when they turn 18, a lot of the resources and funding can dry up. I have a child that turns 18 on Wednesday. That kid is far from ready to enter the world without some help. So there's just a lot of need. My call is to other business leaders. You don't have to be an expert in foster care. Reach out to Nikki, reach out to us. We'll tell you what we do. There's a lot of kids that need help, and it's not that difficult to provide quite a bit of help to these children. We're honored to be a part of it. We're honored to have everybody here today. So thank you.
Good morning. I'm also happy and privileged to be here. I'm Elder Hugo E. Martinez of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I bring the love and greetings of the Utah Area Presidency. This is a marvelous event for a wonderful cause. I testify to you that these are God's children and that He loves them dearly, and that we have the opportunity to help, to foster, and that is an invitation that we extend to you. We know of the sacrifice that are involved, and we know of the doubts, but if you will reach out to Utah Foster Care, all those can be answered and resolved. This is an invitation to the community at large. We're grateful to be here. Thank you.
My name is Jamie White. I am the pastor at First Presbyterian Church in downtown Salt Lake City. About 15 years ago, my husband Dave and I sat down to have our first conversation about the possibility of foster care and maybe adoption. See, we both had this nagging suspicion that our family maybe wasn't quite full yet. We already had 2 elementary-aged boys at the time, but we had the sense that we still had more room. More room in our home, yes, but more room in our lives, more room in our hearts to embrace and love more children, to make room for a child that might need that in some way. But I have to admit, we were pretty nervous because Dave and I had seen foster care and adoption up close in the lives of some very dear friends, in some families at the church I had been pastoring, in the orphanage I had been privileged to work with in Kenya, and in Dave's practice as a licensed clinical therapist. And so we knew that whenever a child is removed from their birth parents for any reason, there is a deep and there is a profound wound. A wound that we couldn't help but wonder one thing about. Would our love for that child be enough? Enough to make them feel safe? Enough to help them heal? Enough to make them feel whole? Enough to help them feel loved? And so our decision to become foster parents, it felt like it really should come down to that. Would we have enough? Would our love be enough? But friends, here is the truth. No matter how hard we tried, we could not answer that question. And so we just decided to attend the foster care classes and get licensed anyway. Because a different question, I would argue a much better question, kept rising to the surface. And it was this: were there still kids that needed a loving family? Were there still kids that needed somewhere to go tonight? It was a much better question indeed. And so, yes, our love, what we had to offer, it was going to have to be enough. Our family's foster journey, it eventually led us to caring for a darling, tiny little baby named Mila. Now, of course, it is always, always the first hope that a child might be able to be reunified with their birth parent. But in Mila's case, that wasn't possible. And so after 17 months, we were lucky enough to get to adopt Mila. Mila's 11 years old now, and she's here with me today. She's quite literally the joy of our lives, and she is the boss of our entire family, including her older brothers, who are now 20 and 25 years old. Life simply would not be the same without her. But I will be honest, it isn't always easy, is it, girl? Mila's got big questions, and we can't always answer them. There are tough days, to be sure. But we all just keep showing up with all the love we've got, and so far, it's been enough. And so here's the thing, we just have to do all we can to address the shortage of foster homes in Utah. Because that same question that rose to the surface for us all those years ago, it is precisely why we're here today. Are there still kids that need somewhere to go tonight? And unfortunately, yes, way too many kids. And so the only thing that makes any sense whatsoever is to put out a call to our communities, to those who we know have some love to give, to make some more room for these kids. Not just in their homes, but in their hearts and their lives, because that is what these kids need to thrive. And there are so many kids just like Mila, and they deserve a loving family. And sometimes they might not need a forever family. Sometimes they just need a soft place to land for a little while their parents heal. Either way, these kids need somewhere to go tonight. And so whatever we have to do, let's make room. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Chad Griffiths, and my wife and I started our foster care journey in 2022. When discussions first came up between my wife and I about foster care, the words were first said, the initial reaction was fear. I can relate to what has been said. We had a comfortable life. It was fear of the unknown, fear of grief and loss, and most importantly, fear of what it would mean for our existing children. Today, when our family talks about foster care, the emotions are very different. Fostering has made our family closer together. I've watched my teenage daughters learn amazing life skills handling difficult life situations. We have felt our perspectives shift as we confront the different life experiences of the children that have come into our home and their families. We came thinking that we would be able to give to help those in need, but I can tell you we have received more than we have ever given. Our hearts have grown and filled with love for these children almost instantly from the minute that they walked into our home. When I asked my 14-year-old what I should say today, she told me to tell everyone that these kids just need connection. Someone who will love them and support them, and even if it's hard, it is worth it. These vulnerable children are navigating a lot of grief. They didn't choose the situation that they're in, and they love their parents. Let me give you an example. On Sunday night, we currently have a 4-year-old placed in our home, and he had the opportunity to visit with his dad. And when we were done with that visit with his dad, I picked him up, and he was so sad. He loves his dad. His dad is working so hard to take the steps necessary to be able to get his little boy. I didn't know what to tell him. He was inconsolable as he just cried and cried as I took him, and we headed back home. I put him in the car. He cried and cried. We were driving home, and I was talking to him, trying to calm him down. And finally, what I started doing is I just sang him a lullaby. It's a lullaby I sing to him every night as he goes to bed. We call it Daddy's Lullaby. And as soon as I started singing, he stopped crying. Until I stopped singing, and then he started crying again. And so I started singing the song again. 20 minutes later, when we finally got home, I was still singing that song, but he'd been able to work through his grief and was excited to be back home. That night, he gave me a great big hug and told me that he loved me. We have felt immense gratitude for the support that we've received from family, friends, the community, companies like Entrada, faith groups, Utah Foster Care, and especially other foster families. No one is alone in this journey. That support is so important because not everything is sunshine and rainbows. Like anything worth doing, there are hard times, but there's always been someone to turn to for help when needed. It doesn't matter who you are, I guarantee that you have something to give to these children, and they have something to give to you. Please, please come join us on our journey.
What a pleasure and an honor a little taller than that, sorry folks. What a pleasure and an honor it is here to be today. Hello, my name is Natalie Clark. I entered foster care as a baby and again as a teen, totaling 6 years in Utah's foster care system. Who taught me to only condition my hair halfway down, not the scalp. Who taught me how to clean a house, spick and span. Who taught me how to wash my laundry the right way. So often we speak to the impact that families have on our youth, and I'm here to confirm everything you've already heard. Each person that took me into their home, single, married, close to my age, farther from my age, with kids, without, in big, beautiful homes on our beautiful one end of the valley to cozy homes on the other end of the valley. Each home, each family, each individual brought to me a profound gift of learning and growth. A new village to celebrate my wins and console me during my losses. But I'm also here to tell you about the impact our young people can have on you. As much of an impact each person had on me, I can say with certainty I had a profound impact on each of them. on each of the people I shared pieces of my life and my heart with. I was a stellar big sister, an active participator in all. From fun games at the park, to foster sisters dance recitals, to the weekly airing of our new episode of our family show, and yes, the shared house chores too. Foster care is an experience. It doesn't necessarily mean forever, and I think that's the beauty of it. If even just for a season, the learning, the bond, the trust. It can be unbreakable, unforgettable, and irreplaceable. It's not forever, but foster care to me is my forever village, my forever people, and my lifelong cheerleaders. I know I have someone to call during a breakup. I have someone to eat dinner and cake with each year on my birthday, and people cheering me on in every single thing that I do in life. And none of them ever had to change my diaper. I call that a win-win, if you ask me. Some of the people that were cheering the loudest in the stands for all of my graduations were the people that took me in as a teenager. Thanks to the community for showing up for me when I needed them, answering that call when I needed love the most. I now get to spend the rest of my life advocating for young people in and from foster care. I want to thank each of you that took me into your home for giving me the love that I never got before. And everyone that's listening, I want to please urge you to consider fostering a teen and to become the cheerleaders and the loving village that I had and they deserve. Thank you for being here.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. We are so excited to be here with these amazing friends who have shared their stories with you and their support. I want to thank Adam and the Entrada team for inviting us here over and over and over again. This is a place where we feel at home and our foster families feel at home. So why have we called you all together today? This is something that has been very near and dear to Abby's heart as she cares deeply about our kids. As we had an opportunity to embark on this journey as governor and first lady, she knew that part of her job would be to care for the most vulnerable amongst us. And there is no one more vulnerable than our foster children. You've heard today that the number of foster parents at our state is at an all-time low. 24 years ago, we faced a similar crisis in our foster system, and then Governor Mike Leavitt did something. He called a press conference, like we're doing today, and sent letters out to all of our faith leaders to share with their congregations. And it won't surprise you to know that the response was overwhelming, that we then got a record number of foster parents who responded. We're calling on Utahns to do the same thing again today. We live in the most generous state in the nation. We live in the most religious state in the nation. Whether you're religious or not, we live in a state that cares about giving back and taking care of our neighbors. Now, I do believe that this is pure religion. Undefiled before God is taking care of the fatherless, those who are struggling, those who do not have parents, those who become literally wards of the state. We are the state. They are our children, and it is our duty to care for them until their parents can do so. And we need you now more than ever. So I'm happy to turn some time over to the First Lady to talk about why this is so important.
Thank you all for being here. And again, to my friends who are supporting this and my friends up here that I've worked with over the last several years, and all of you out there and our amazing Utah foster care team and those other nonprofits that work so closely with us, and our state agencies and all those businesses that are and families that are coming together at this time. Again, we want to thank people like Entrada and Larry H. Miller for opening their doors of support to foster families and the incredible examples they are to everyone that can play a part in making sure that our most vulnerable in our state are taken care of. Look, I know what you've heard. I know what you're thinking. I know that you've heard this, the phrase, the system is broken. I'm here to tell you the system is not broken. There are broken families. There are broken people. And that's what we're here to do, is to help heal the brokenness of these children and of these families. There is a specific need in our state. And again, we are the most generous, and we are the most family-friendly state. And I think it would shock so many of you to know that there are children without families in this state, in Utah. And that's our call today. Children older than 9 years old is our biggest need. There are families that we need to take children that are older than 9 years old and sibling groups. Let me just tell you about what a foster family or a foster parent can look like. They can be single. They can be married. They can be homeowners. They can be renters. They can be LGBTQ. They can be religious. They can be non-religious. They can be parents with children. They can be individuals without children. They can be empty nesters. Utah foster care community needs your support. Each one of us need to look in our hearts, in our homes, and in our situation and see, can I be a foster parent? Is that in my situation right now? And if not, how can I support? How can I reach out to a family that I know, that I love, that's fostering, and be a help for them? How can I be a community that supports foster care? One caring adult can make a huge difference in the life of a child. So please find it in your heart today to be a part of this system.
We, look, there are a lot of problems in government and in our state today. There are problems that we're working on that were problems for the Herbert administration and for the Huntsman administration, for the Levitt administration. There are problems that we may never be able to solve, but we will always keep trying. This is one of those, Adam mentioned this, this is one of those problems that we actually can solve, right? Currently, there are no states in the nation that don't have a waiting list for kids. We truly believe that Utah can become the first state where there are families waiting for kids instead of kids waiting for families. Imagine that the minute a need arises, there's a family to help and jump in and take that responsibility. Now, we don't want to fool anyone out there. This is really hard. I haven't talked to a foster family yet who said, this is the easiest thing we've ever done. It's the exact opposite. What we often hear is, this is the hardest thing we've ever done. And we're so glad we're doing it. It's the best thing we've ever done. That is, that's the spirit of this. I know we can do this. I believe in us. I believe in Utahns. Now look, I know that foster care is not for everyone. Not everyone can do this, but everyone can do something. And so even if you're not in a place right now where you can do this, and more of you are than think you are, so go home, have this conversation with your family, ask yourselves this question: can we do this? Let's give it a try. But if not, probably all of you know someone who is fostering within your faith group, within your neighborhood, maybe an employee in your company, and you can help them out. What I would ask is for you to go to them and say, what can we do to help you? Can we bring you a pizza every Friday night for the next 6 months? Can we do even more? Can we get trained as respite care so that we can give you a break, because you need those breaks? Let us watch the kids while you get to go, and there is certain training you have to do to be able to do that. But those are the things that all of us can do. This is it. This is the stuff. When we say we're the best state in the nation and the most generous state in the nation, now it's time to put our actions where our mouths are. This is how we prove that we really are the most generous state in the nation. You will likely in your faith congregations hopefully be hearing from your pastors and your bishops and others as they read letters encouraging you to foster. But this is our call. we want all of you right now, wherever you are, wherever you're listening, wherever you're reading this, thanks to our media partners who are going to broadcast this, but we need you all to go to utahfostercare.org, utahfostercare.org for more information about becoming a foster parent. I believe that over the next few weeks, we are going to see an overwhelming response, that we are going to set a new record for the number of people requesting to become foster families, especially for those ages 9 and over, and for those with siblings. These can be the most challenging, but also the most rewarding, as you've heard today. We're so proud of this state. We love the people in this state, and we love our most vulnerable. And we're calling upon all of you to help us take care of our most vulnerable. Thank you so much for being here.